Dinghai Fusheng Records. Chapter 85. Terms of Surrender. Underground, in Huanmo Palace. My lord, Wang Zi's soul moaned, crawling slowly along the ground towards that huge heart. Princess King He, Feng Tian, Xiaoyang, a military general with a heroic, large build, clad in the armor of former Qin, Wang Meng with his hand torn off, Sima Wei, and a huge rotten wolf stood in a half-circle behind Wang Zi. Wang Zi only had 207 po left, and he struggled ceaselessly on the floor, crawling up onto the sacrificial altar as he reached a hand out towards the heart. "You, trash!" Chu's voice resounded. "You boasted of planning for every possibility, and yet you've fallen to this level in the end." A single drop of devil god's blood dripped out from the heart, landing on Wang Zi's hunpo. Wang Zi let out a disfigured howl as shadowy ripples echoed across his hunpo, slowly spreading out, before gathering up again, revealing a shrouded human figure. "I need, even more, resentment," Wang Zi said slowly. "The power I gathered over thousands of years of cultivation was so easily charred to ash by the heart lamp. Foolish beyond saving." Chu's voice thundered. Wang Zi immediately jumped, his shadowy hunpo form kneeling down on the ground. "You've found your array?" Chu asked coldly. Wang Zi replied, "Yes. Within the Longmen Mountains, I have indeed found the traces of the ancient array of time." Chu commanded, "Set up the array ba. Use the spiritual qi of the Dinghai pearl to activate the 7 artifacts, and the day that Fujian begins his war is the day that this king will once again regain a physical form." Wang Zi said, "But the Dinghai pearl?" Chu replied, "It will come." Wang Zi added, "The various artifacts?" Chu replied, "They will come of their own accord. The Ghost King has already become stable, and the 7 protectors of the array are gathered here. Go forth and immediately arrange for this." Wang Zi looked towards that large, sturdy general that had been called the Ghost King. Chu then said, "With this king's power, he can be kept stable for many more months. Send him to Karakoram, go ba." "Yes," Wang Zi said. "But this subject still needs a physical body." "Go find one yourself," Chu said darkly. Wang Zi turned his head, looking towards his assembled subordinates. Feng Tian and Xiaoshang's gazes were unfocused, and a faint red light shone from their hearts. Chu's voice slowly grew quieter. "To save Chen Xing's life, he will definitely come here, but before then, do not make this king waste his energy any further." Wang Zi hurried to nod. The 7th year of the Taiyuan era, 15th day of the 8th month. "How long did I sleep for this time?" Chen Xing asked himself. When he rose, his head hurt so much that he couldn't bear it. After that battle with Wang Zi, surviving through that had been far beyond his expectations. "Where's Xiang Shu?" Chen Xing murmured. "Xiang Shu? Where are you?" Xiang Shu was not standing guard by the side of his bed. Chen Xing lowered his head to look down, only to see that he was wearing nothing but an inner robe, which was about the same as every other time when he had gone unconscious. He rose from the bed, pushing open the bedroom door. It was currently night. The night wind held a little bit of autumn feel within it, and it was already slightly chilly. A full moon hung in the night sky, and tonight's moonlight was very bright, shining so brightly that it almost didn't seem like night. Chen Xing heard the sound of talking and laughter from afar, so he passed through the hallway. He entered the garden only to see, in a crowded pavilion, Xian, Xiaoyang, Wang Zizi, and others drinking wine, eating desserts, and admiring the moon, while Xiaoyang sat, burdened with worries, to one side. "You all," Chen Xing felt a little at a loss upon seeing this scene. "You're awake!" Xiaoyang let out a loud shout. "You're awake, you're awake!" Xian immediately hurried over to help support Chen Xing. Immediately, the entire garden of visitors was set abuzz, and they hurried to rise and welcome him. Chen Xing said, "What banquet are you all holding? Wait, let me go change my clothes," but as he spoke, he felt a little dizzy, and Xie Yun hurried to say, "Go back and rest a bit, you've just woken after all." Wang Zizi said, "Quick, someone send a message to the martial god." He said before, Xian explained, that even if Chen Xing hadn't woken up, he would hurry back tomorrow or the day after. "Where's Xiang Shu?" Chen Xing asked confusedly. "Where's Qunjunji? And where has Xiao Shan run off to?" Xie Yun had him go back to his room before she began to answer him slowly. Huan Yi was also there, and Wang Zizi, Xie Xian and the others came in as well. Chen Xing drank a little tea, and his head grew somewhat clearer. He lifted his questioning gaze, turning it on Xian. "I slept for 3 months. After Chen Xing learned of this, he said, not bad, it's about the same as the last time I was unconscious, much better than I expected." "Where is this?" Xie Yun replied, "Shao County." "Why are you all here?" Chen Xing asked curiously. "What are you all in Shao County for?" Xian's words dried up in his mouth. "Let's go through one thing at a time," Xian said at last. "The martial gods following Sima Wei's tracks to go find where Huanmo Palace is." "Oh," Chen Xing said. "Then he should be pretty close by. Unless, he wasn't here by my side because he found something in his search." Xie Yun shook her head, and Wang Zizi explained, "He always comes back once a week. He says, no matter if you're awake or not, as soon as the 17th day of the 8th month approaches, he'll always come back." Chen Xing rippled. "What happened after that battle last time? How are the others?" Xie Yun said, "Feng Qunjun and little Shifu Xiao Shan have both gone missing. Shulukong said that he'd definitely bring them back, so you shouldn't worry." "How can I not be worried?" Chen Xing asked tiredly. This was the outcome that Chen Xing had least wanted to see, but it had still happened. Since the very beginning, when they had used resentment to power the artifacts, Chen Xing had dimly felt a sense of foreboding. And in the end, that small glowing red dot that appeared in their hearts had definitely been of use, but how did they ingest the devil god's blood in the first place? The more Chen Xing thought about it, the more his head hurt. Thankfully, a long time ago, he had planted a seed of the heart lamp in their hearts for protection. Perhaps there might still be a chance for it to counteract the effects of the devil god's blood. 3 days after the Battle of Yug, Fujian returned to Chang'an. Xie Xian said to Chen Xing, "You guys got rid of all of his drought fiends, but Fujian was still adamant about starting a war." With the breaking of the yin-yang mirror, Wang Zi had completely vanished. After Fujian returned to Chang'an, he didn't say anything, he merely gathered up all of his military power, following his previous plan as he sent troops towards Shao County, preparing for battle, in an attempt to redeem himself. Murongchang gave up the command of his silver cavalry and left Luoyang, and his current whereabouts were unknown. "Where is the Luohun bell?" Chen Xing asked. Xian replied, "The artifacts are all being kept safe by the martial god, so there shouldn't be an issue." Wang Zizi sat down to one side, nodding. "We came over to visit Anqi. War is going to erupt any day now, so everyone should go back soon." Chen Xing nodded, and for a while his brows furrowed deeply. He asked, "Where's Tuobayan?" "He's gone," Xian said. "Where did he go?" Chen Xing asked. "Did he leave together with Murongchang?" "He died," Xian added. To prevent his corpse from being used by anyone, the martial god already cremated him on Lake Chao before you woke up. Xie Yun rose and pulled a box off the bookshelf, handing it to Chen Xing. When he opened it, inside lay that ring that Tuobayan had once gifted him. "Where is Fujian's army now?" Chen Xing asked. "They're garrisoned at Xiang City," Xie Xian said. "They have yet to formally announce the start of their waging of war, but Shao County has already become the front line. Technically, you all should have retreated first, but since the battle has not yet formally begun, everyone felt that it wasn't necessary to be too frightened." Chen Xing nodded. In these past days, who was taking care of me? Xian replied, most of the time it was me, but when Dayun learned that you were ill, she was worried about you, so she came to visit as well. Chen Xing nodded and thanked her. Wang Zizi spoke, rest a little while more ba. Waking for the first time after such a long sleep, naturally you won't have any energy. And with that, Xian and the rest of the group left. Chen Xing still felt tired and dizzy, and after a while, he couldn't help but sleep a little more, but this time he woke very quickly. Outside, Xie Dayun personally brought over some congee, and Chen Xing asked her a bunch of questions that Xie Dayun answered one by one. After the Battle of Yi River, Wang Zi and his drought fiends had not been heard about again, as if they had all disappeared entirely. But Chen Xing kept feeling that things couldn't be this easy. Though one of Wang Zi's Hun was lost to the Luohun Bell, Chu was still alive. Reality had shown them that their constant underestimation of Chu had led to their failure at every turn, and it was only because this devil god hadn't appeared before that they had been led into falsely thinking that Wang Zi was the main target. However, the things that a devil god that had been split into pieces could do must be very limited. Otherwise, he would have long since come in person, and he wouldn't have depended on Wang Zi for every little thing. Was Xiang Shu investigating where they were hiding? Chen Xing only hoped that, before the great battle before Qin and Jin, they would be able to find Huanmo Palace and resolve this issue. He hoped that Feng Qianjun and Xiao Shan were all right. Since Chu had taken them, perhaps he was thinking of using them. In the short term then, their lives at least wouldn't be in danger. From now until his last day, there was only a year left. Afternoon, Chen Xing quietly thought over many things, before he once again began to worry about Xiao Shan and Feng Qianjun. The more he thought about it, the more gloomy he felt. If he knew where the two of them were, then perhaps the first thing he would have done upon waking was to go save them. But there was no trace of them, and he didn't even know where Chu was hiding. He began to test out using the heart lamp, and everything was normal. Even the power of his Hunpo had slowly recovered while he was sleeping. But just as he was using the heart lamp, something seemed to respond in the distance, and it also flashed. It was Xiang Shu. Chen Xing immediately sensed it, but he couldn't determine what that distance was. It was like that day when he had found Xiang Shu and Xiangyang. In these 3 years, they had shared life and death together, fought bloody battles side by side, and their communication seemed to grow closer and more intimate time after time. Where are you? Chen Xing murmured, once again igniting the heart lamp. In the distance, Xiang Shu once again responded, and the heart lamp flashed along with it. But when Chen Xing activated the heart lamp again, Xiang Shu ignored him. Perhaps he was afraid that having just healed after a long sleep, Chen Xing might overexert his power. The next day, Chen Xing ate quite a bit, and his entire body seemed to be much more energetic. Xie Dayun also stewed ginseng soup for him to replenish his energy, and Chen Xing finally had some traces of blood in his cheeks. Wrapped in a cotton robe, he sat in the courtyard, watching the clear autumn sky. Suddenly, he heard a commotion from outside. He thought it was Xiang Shu returning, but when he went out to take a look, the visitor was actually a Han person wearing a Qin official's robes. He walked into the Shao County prefectural manor, holding a scroll in his hand. An envoy from Fujian? The group with Xian as their head were all avoiding the visitor, to prevent the envoy from knowing that major officials from the Great Jin were here, so Xie Xian came out to receive him. Who are those people? Chen Xing asked quietly. They're here to ask us to surrender, a young official said to Chen Xing. Xie Daren and the others are currently hiding behind the screen. If Chen Daren also wants to listen, then please come with me, I'll bring you over right now. After all, during the sacrificial rites, the great exorcist Chen Xing had already become a household name throughout the region of Jiangnan, and Xian's matters were never kept a secret from him. Chen Xing originally didn't want to listen, but he still felt that the person leading the envoy squad was a little familiar, so he went with the official behind the screen in the hall. It really has been a long time since we last met, Xiaoyang smiled. Clearly, he was also an old acquaintance of that official who had come here with the terms of surrender. Chen Xing went behind the screen, where Xian and Wang Zizi were standing, and the three of them nodded in greeting at each other. From the crack in the folding screen, Chen Xing peered out, and he could see the side of the man's face, but he couldn't remember who he was. His Majesty is very familiar with the power of the Baifu army. That middle-aged civil official stroked his beard and spoke. The army that Murong Chui is leading has already arrived at Fixi. When Chen Xing heard this voice, with that face, he instantly remembered, that was the Liang province governor, Zhu Su. Chen Xing immediately made a gesture, indicating that he knew him, and Xian nodded his head, exchanging a glance with Wang Zizi. Chen Xing pointed outside, then to himself, before opening and closing his mouth, indicating that he wanted to talk with him. In a matter of a few days, he will attack the city, Zhu Su said mildly. Xiaoyang, this is the last chance that I have obtained for my home country. His Majesty the Heavenly King doesn't wish to bring about unnecessary death, and he instructed me specially to pass along one line, which is try courteous means before resorting to force. He said that you all would naturally understand. Xiaoyang smiled easily. After Xiangyang city fell, did he care about the lives of the citizens? Zhu Su could only pretend that he didn't understand Xiaoyang's cold mocking of him. In reality, after Murong Chui invaded Xiangyang 3 years ago, not only had he not respected the terms that he and the surrendered General Zhu Su had agreed upon, but he had even plundered and slaughtered with impunity in the city itself. That was because Great General Murong wished to exact revenge, Zhu Su said. If the unexpected hadn't occurred and destroyed half of his visage, then originally I had the ability to keep the citizens of the city safe. Chen Xing thought in his heart, now it's turning into my fault, because I used a torch to burn Murong Chui's face, causing him to plunder the city in a fit of rage. See how he twists those words. Xian said in a tone as light as the clouds, if he's coming, then come. In such a battle of the wits, it's useless to say more. Zhu Su said, tomorrow, Shao County will feel the flames of war. Xiaoyang, let me speak directly. You only have 80,000 troops here, which is far too few for such a battle. But Xiaoyang was also a person who followed the Xia family tradition of not forgiving others even on the surface, choosing instead to treat his enemies with cold mockery and disdain. This group of literati, from Xian to Chen Xing, none of them seemed to leave others with even the slightest bit of reprieve. He then smiled and asked, has Fu Jian's insanity at Luoyang been cured? Zhu Su looked at Xiaoyang, not saying anything, and Xiaoyang continued, lowering his voice, Zhudaran, be careful, when he's not in a good mood, he might stab you straight through. Servants, come see the guest out. Seeing that asking them to surrender was not fruitful, Zhu Su knew that this battle was inevitable. The Han people had always been stubborn, and back when it was his turn with Xiangyang, he himself had not surrendered either. Until the end when he was captured and had no other choice, he still had not surrendered. He hadn't wished to die a martyr's death. Sending him forth, supposedly with the try-courteous means before resorting to force was nothing more than Fu Jian still holding a big grudge about being scoffed at by Xian at Yi River. Then I shall take my leave, Zhu Su said politely. I'll see you again on the battlefield tomorrow. Xiaoyang continued to sit, not even rising to see his guests off. Zhu Su left the terms of surrender there, and he said, aren't you going to take a look? Xiaoyang said, it's not the preface to the poems collected from the Orchid Pavilion, so what's the point when Southerners' writing is more beautiful? Disappointing, leave quickly ba. Zhu Su. Zhu Su left the Shao County prefect's manor on his own, and as soon as he left, Xiaoyang rose to his feet to go meet with Xian, Wang Zizi, and the rest. Zhu Su passed through the courtyard, but just as he was about to ride off away from Shao County, a voice from behind stopped him. Zhudaran, Chen Xing smiled, it's been so long since we last met. Zhu Su turned his head questioningly. It was twilight, and he had to stare for a while before he recognized that it was Chen Xing, and he exclaimed in surprise, "It's you." Chen Xing made his greetings to Zhu Su, who returned them. Their meeting 3 years later was so different from their first that it seemed like a lifetime had passed since then. For a little while, it seemed like they couldn't stop sighing. After Zhu Su had surrendered to the Qin court, he had first been imprisoned for a time. Before 1 year ago, he had finally been appointed an official's position. In this period, he had heard quite a bit about Chen Xing's movements in the Divine Land and his strange powers and weird gods in trickles and snatches. Originally, he had thought that these were just made-up tales, and it wasn't until after the Battle of Yi River that he confirmed that Chen Xing hadn't lied to him back then. Chen Xing observed Zhu Su's expression, before suddenly he had a thought. He tugged on his hand, sending the light of the heart lamp into Zhu Su's body, and after confirming that Wang Zi hadn't possessed him, he let out a breath of relief. That magic of Wang Zi's, his borrowing a body to return a soul, was something that caused him to be suspicious of even the smallest shadow. But just when the heart lamp was circulating within, Chen Xing seemed to feel that within Zhu Su's heart meridian, there was also a seed of the heart lamp there? Was it that day, not long after he and Xiang Shu met, that he had unintentionally planted it while they stood on the high balcony of the city lord's manor? Since the last time we've met, it's already been 3 years, Hui, Zhu Su sighed. I hear that you've accomplished many things. Do you still remember your desire from back then, which was to bring exorcism back to the human realm? Have you accomplished that yet? Not yet. Chen Xing also felt a little regret at that. The future is still as heavily shrouded in fog as it once was. Zhu Su said, the entire imperial court is aflame with rumors of Wang Zi being a necromancer who can revive the dead and control his majesty, but in the end, you eliminated him at Yug, and the drought fiend army was unable to attack and destroyed itself from within. 3 years ago, the danger you spoke of that would involve the Divine Land, should have been dealt with now. Chen Xing smiled bitterly. Far from it. As soon as one danger is eliminated, another comes. If Fujian does conquer the south, then who knows how many people will die, and I'm afraid that Wang Zi might rise from his ashes. The resentment in the world is easy to get rid of, but the resentment in people's hearts is difficult to resolve. Zhu Su thought for a bit, before responding, is there anything else I can do? To tell you the truth, little brother, after I surrendered to the Qin, I've been condemned by the public, and become the laughingstock of thousands, so I've long since become more open to matters. Chen Xing furrowed his brows and asked, what's Fujian's current condition? This was the real reason he had come to find Zhu Su, who responded, ever since he returned from the Yi River, compared to before that, he's become a lot more normal. But his heart is set on launching his southern campaign. Wang Zi hasn't shown up since. Chen Xing asked suspiciously. What about Princess King He? And how about the movements of the others? Zhu Su spoke generally of the current situation at court, but of course, with his identity, he was one of the excluded, and with no way to approach the center of power, his information was sparse. But what could be confirmed was that after Fujian returned, he didn't bring up anything, nor did he punish the people of the Murong clan. It was as if he had returned to normal, but he still pushed forward stubbornly with his southern campaign. He was currently drafting up troops for a 1,120,000 strong army, which would come for them menacingly. A million? Chen Xing asked disbelievingly. Zhu Su replied, this many people, crowded in Fixi, will make it difficult to even turn around then. When Chen Xing thought about these 1,120,000 people fighting each other, he worried about how much resentment would be created, but Zhu Su was thinking of something else. Throughout history, even Xiaoyang and the likes of him didn't dare bring this many troops, and the only famous general that dared to boast, the more the merrier, was Han Xian. When this many people were involved, their supplies and orders were huge problems in and of themselves. Where's your protector? Zhu Su asked. Back then, in the prison, I didn't know he was the great Chanyu of the north, so please pass my apologies along to him." Chen Xing smiled. "He's out on a business trip, but he won't hold a grudge over this." Zhu Su said, "But he slaughtered my Han people, and this matter of imprisoning him is one that I'm unrepentant about. It's only because later, he followed you in saving innocent lives that he accomplished much despite his crimes." Chen Xing spoke, "That was because everyone pinned the blame on him wrongly. He isn't one to casually kill innocent people." "Oh," Zhu Su said. The sky was darkening, and Chen Xing didn't want to keep Zhu Su too long, and explaining would be too complicated, so he smiled. In this turbulent world, he fully deserves to be called a hero. Zhu Su then nodded and said, "I misjudged him. Ah well, I'll be going now too." When they were going to make their goodbyes, however, there was a person standing at the door, stopping in his tracks. Just as Chen Xing lifted his gaze, he saw that person. It was Xiang Shu. Chen Xing. In that moment, Chen Xing put all his thoughts aside as he ran towards him. Xiang Shu was covered in the dust of the road, a cowhide belt slung across his chest around the outside of his martial robe, with a personal leather bag at his side, probably holding several artifacts. The Akala blade and a longbow were both strapped to his back, and he wore leather wrist guards on his arms. His hunting boots were covered with mud and dirt, and though he had grown thinner, he was still handsome without equal. His stubble looked like it had been hastily shaved, and he had an air of a ranger who had weathered the elements and travelled across the length and breadth of the land. "You're back." Chen Xing smiled, before tightly hugging Xiang Shu. Xiang Shu lifted his hand, stroking Chen Xing's head for a bit, before shooting a look at Zhu Su, giving him a suspicious look before nodding. Zhu Su smiled. "It's you, I didn't recognize you at first." When Xiang Shu had been captured and taken back to Xiangyang, he had only taken one look at Zhu Su, but he still remembered him clearly, and he asked in a low voice, "Zhu Su?" Zhu Su nodded and responded easily, "I never imagined that the two of you back then, who didn't even know each other, would be so affectionate to each other now. In this turbulent world, where even existence is precarious, live well ba." Xiang Shu indicated to Chen Xing that the guests were still here, and after they sent the guests away, they could talk then. With that, the two of them saw Zhu Su out the door together. Under the sky filled with whirling maple leaves, Zhu Su mounted his horse, nodded towards them, and left Shao County. As soon as the guests left, Chen Xing grabbed Xiang Shu's hand, beginning to ply him with all kinds of questions. "Where did you go for these 3 months?" Chen Xing asked suspiciously. "How come you got thinner? Did you find out where they are?" "I found them," Xiang Shu responded. "But to go in and save them will take some effort. When I'm free, then I'll explain it to you in detail. I need to see Xian first." End chapter. Dinghai Fusheng Records. Chapter 86. Birthday. The atmosphere inside Xiaoyang's seat of government was tense all around. Xian spread out the map. Everybody had made preparations beforehand, there was no way Xiaoyang could resist Fujian's cavalry. Just like Xiangyang 3 years ago, sooner or later, it would be broken through, and another massacre was bound to happen. So, as soon as the Baifu army established their camp in Xiaoyang, Xian had firmly issued his wisest move so far, evacuate 9 out of 10 citizens to Moling, leaving behind only conscripted workers and a small number of craftsmen. This military order was issued at the same time Zhu Su had come to persuade them to surrender earlier, and the few civilians left in the city had all been evacuated. When Xiang Shu came back, out of every 10 rooms along the city road, 9 were already emptied out. At tonight's third night period, Xian said, the remaining Baifu army will also pull back to Lujian, 70 li away from Xiaoyang, to look for an opportunity to fight them hand-to-hand and exhausting the number in their vanguard. Great! Martial God, sure enough, you've come back. And so, people decided to talk while eating, having a chat in the hall with food. All kinds of Xiaoyang's delicious delicacies were cooked, they were as fancy as Duantu meals. On my way back, I ran into General Lu Lazai, Xiang Shu said. He was preparing for an ambush in Lujian. How many men did he bring? Xiaoyang responded, 5,000 men. I hope Lazai moves quickly. Saying so, he turned to face Xian and continued, this battle has the greatest number of people participating in it since ancient times. Chen Xing. Recalling historical records, they suddenly discovered that this was indeed the largest scale battle in history. During the past 100 years, only Chibi was worth mentioning in the same breath as this war, but even in the Battle of Chibi, Cao only had 500,000 men by his side. Xian replied, seems like it Chen Xing commented, you all talk like it's someone else's war. Xian responded, little Shidi, don't look at Fusheng like I'm just an observer. In fact, everybody here pretty much lacks confidence right now. Everyone burst out laughing, and Chen Xing felt exasperated. Wang Zizi asked, will the martial god follow us into the battle? I have more important things to do, Xiang Shu replied. You guys are on your own. Xian said to Chen Xing, since the martial god has returned, Fusheng may have to ask for a leave of absence from you. It is reasonable to say that Fusheng can't ignore little Shidi's problem regarding Qianjun and Xiaoshan, but in the face of national disaster, if you have to perform an exorcism, Fusheng really can't help. Chen Xing was driven mad. Fight your war. Why are you still thinking about exorcisms at this time? Another burst of laughter resounded. Xiang Shu soon finished eating, but after the meal, everyone paused their conversation and looked at him. They were expecting him to say something or bring out the news that could turn the tide of war. However, Xiang Shu only said, I'm taking a bath. Chen Xing, keep talking with them. Then he got up and left. Chen Xing had wanted to ask him something, but since the man had already come back after all, he had all the time to ask him later. And so, he continued chatting with Xian, Wang Zizi, and the others. Xian saw that the day had turned night and remarked, all right, everyone, please take a rest now. We still need to retreat when the third night period begins, any. Little Shidi, Fusheng will take you back to your room. Chen Xing knew that either he had something to say to him or he wanted to see Xiang Shu. He saw Wang Zizi get up, smiling as he did so, and follow behind Xian. Soon, Xiaoyang also went along with them. Huan Yi, who had been with them on their mission to Luoyang, returned to the hall after finishing his military affair. He drank some tea and tailed behind them as well. Chen Xing. Thus, Chen Xing followed this large group of people. Xian just chatted with Huan Yi, while Wang Zizi, on the other hand, sighed in sorrow. He lamented about how Xiaoyang had such nice scenery, but sadly it was all going to be ruined by the Hus. Chen Xing thought in his heart, you guys are only looking for Xiang Shu, but following me in such an overbearing manner, you all look like you're about to start a fight instead. The courtyard outside of Chen Xing's bedroom was actually filled with dazzling light. Xie Dayun gave Xiang Shu a lantern, which he then hung on a treetop. Wow! Chen Xing saw that lanterns were hanging all over the courtyard as they shone in brilliance, they were even brighter than those during the lantern festival. There were also several flat couches with a tea table that was full of fresh fruit and refreshments. Come, come, Xie Dayun smiled as she said. Standing under a tree, Xiang Shu looked at Chen Xing. Chen Xing said, what are you guys doing? Celebrating a festival. He thought to himself, since you guys are going to abandon the city and retreat, you're taking out all the good stuff to drink and eat mindlessly, ba? Wishing you a happy birthday. Xie Dayun was all smiling. After waiting for 3 months, your family's martial god has finally returned. Xiang Shu had finished bathing. He had specifically cleaned himself up for the occasion and had changed into a navy blue martial official robe. With a pair of bright eyes, he looked at Chen Xing and said, Today is the day, am I right? Even if it's not today, let's celebrate it today, Wang Zizi smiled. It is. Chen Xing's eyes were moist. He didn't expect that at this time of chaos and war, there still existed such a tiny part of the world with warmth in it. Today, your comrades are all here. Xiang Shu sat down on the couch. He looked sideways at Chen Xing by his side and continued, "You're no longer alone either." Chen Xing felt very moved, but no words came out of his mouth. He then replied, "I really am not." Xian, Xie Dayun, Xie Xian, Wang Zizi, and Huan Yi each looked for a seat. It was just, the ones closest to him, Feng Qunjun and Xiao Shan were not here, while Tuobayan was already dead. Chen Xing couldn't help but feel a little sad when he thought about this, but knowing that he must not, by all means, be saddened at this moment, he gave out a smile and said, "Thank you, all of you." Tianqi is 19 years old today, Xian laughed. "Yes Chen Xing replied. 19. Xie Dayun chimed in, "You'll be 20 next year, time for you to be capped." Chen Xing hummed. "I'll invite everyone to come to my capping ceremony then." Everyone sounded out an agreement. Wang Zizi said, "I've entirely forgotten what we were doing when we were 19. Huan Yi said, "Probably carried a sword on our waist as we looked for immortals everywhere under the sky, being thick-skinned and shameless as we sought an apprenticeship from a master, ba." Everyone couldn't help but laugh. Xian then joked, "I didn't expect that after looking for a lifetime, not only did I actually find a great exorcist at this age, I also accompanied him to celebrate his birthday. This life is really full of surprises." Fujian was about to lead an army of millions to raise Xiaoyang to the ground tomorrow, yet at this moment, those matters seemed to have been cast aside behind them. Xiang Shu interrupted, "Let's have a drink, I'm going to propose a toast to you all. Thank you all for taking care of Chen Xing over the past 3 months, and I will have to trouble you all in the future as well." Xian seemed to have sensed something but chose not to reveal anything, while Chen Xing didn't seem to hear it. He only saw Xiang Shu raise the pot, pour the wine, and personally distribute it to all of them. Each raised their cup and proposed a toast. When drinking, it was as if there were tears in Xie Dayun's eyes. "Dayun?" Chen Xing asked. Xie Dayun wiped at it casually and laughed. She shook her head and then said, "At this time, Qing'er must have already been reincarnated." "People who have been reincarnated," Wang Zizi said all of a sudden, "will we still be able to find them?" Chen Xing pondered for a while before replying, "I don't know." The pulse of heaven traversed all the way across the vault of the sky, while the earth veins circulated over and over for years uncounted. Outside Xiaoyang was Fujian's army of millions, yet inside of the city were bright, colorful lanterns that resembled the heart of the divine land, illuminating the entire world engulfed in this dark, gloomy night. But, Chen Xing thought for a moment and continued, "Since heaven itself has allowed people to be reincarnated, in the end, there must be a reason why a person doesn't remember the person they were in their previous life no matter how much they clung to it before, and also why we won't be able to find them in their next life. As long as you know that somewhere, someday, she's still around and living happily, isn't that good enough?" Xie Dayun nodded. Xian said, "Little Shidi, please explain to us ba." Chen Xing looked at the colored lanterns all over the courtyard, appearing spellbound. When he heard the words, he asked, "Explain what?" "About the sky above our head," Xian asked, "full of emotions, and the earth under our feet. It has been a long, long time since everyone has had the time to talk about the profound theory of the Dao." Wang Zizi said, "When I was a child, I always thought that I would be able to figure out the Dao, but while growing up, I gradually felt that I also wouldn't be able to figure out the Dao. But up until now, I still have a shred of hope that perhaps, I will get to understand the so-called Dao as I get older, only, I'm not yet able to clearly pinpoint it. Is this what Kong Chu meant with at 50, I knew what were the biddings of heaven?" Chen Xing smiled and thought about it. During my apprenticeship, I didn't learn much regarding the Dao. For the most part, my lessons were about techniques or artifacts. This Dao, I feel like it's exactly the so-called true form of the world, the place on this earth where common people live, as well as every feeling we feel during our stay there. This true form includes the mandates of heaven, but it's not reserved only for the mandates of heaven. Generally speaking, it's just about where you come from, what you are, what you want to do, and where you're going. These things, if everyone doesn't mind me being long-winded, I'll chat about it. We still don't know what will happen after tomorrow, any. Tell, Xian said at once. I'd like to hear more about it, Wang Zizi replied. Huanyi had wanted to get up and leave to do military business, but hearing this, he also couldn't help but continue to listen. Numerous bright lanterns were reflected in Chen Xing's clear eyes. He slightly turned his head to look at Xiang Shu, smiling, then began to explain to everyone about what he had studied during his time with his master. Legend has it that when Pangu split heaven and earth apart, Chen Xing slowly said, all existence came into being. Both of Pangu's eyes turned into the sun and the moon, while the first oneness between heaven and earth transformed into the dragon god. When it opened its eyes, the day dawned, and when it closed them, the night fell. It set the heaven and earth veins in motion, they began to rotate, and thus, time was born. That night, Chen Xing began to slowly narrate the story, starting from when Pangu created the sky to the collapse of Mount Buzhu, regarding the 3 sovereigns and the 5 emperors, about the great war that swept clean mountains and seas thousands of years ago and the retreat of the gods, as well as how at the Battle of Muye, the divine land then belonged to mortals. It was as if they had all been removed from the current era and were standing in the flowing passage of time as they watched the rise and fall, the ups and downs of the divine land. He soon started talking about the strange connection between the heaven and earth veins to the convergence and divergence of the worlds Hun and Po, about the multitude of stars, the Yao's internal cores and the human secret techniques, as well as the spiritual qi of heaven and earth that had long ago disappeared. In the end, the courtyard went still. Chen Xing said calmly, so, what is the true form of this world? I think everybody has a different opinion regarding this, ba? Although I've heard so many of them, there's still no one who can give me the one true answer. As a matter of fact, I think the so-called true form is actually formless. Flowers are flowers and trees are trees, these things are certain. But, if we're talking about the true form, its innate nature is the fact that it is uncertain and also will stay uncertain. Inside our hearts, the little things we hold dear, the entire divine land, and even the heaven and earth veins, everything has a form, but they only exist inside our spiritual knowledge. That, therefore, is where the Dao is. Is it that heart lamp? Xie Dayun asked. Chen Xing smiled. The heart lamp is its shape, and I think everyone has their own heart lamp as well, it's not only me ba. Otherwise, why is everyone sitting in this place right now, any? Chen Xing's meaning was very clear, the Hans, even Sima Yao who was far away in Jiankong, still held pride in their country, and even knowing that they were going to die, they would still give it their all in this battle. Just like a lamp swayed by the wind and rain during the night of Fujian's arrival in the south, it would illuminate through this period full of misery and shine in brilliance across 4 directions. And Chen Xing had always felt that it wasn't just Zhu Su, but Xian, Xie Xian, Wang Zizi, Xiang Shu, Feng Yunjun, Xiao Shan, and many others also had things they clung to deeply in their hearts. It was the same as the 3 Hun and 7 Po that had always been attracted towards that speck of bright light. Once that brilliance sparkled, the heart lamp would be ignited to guide them throughout their lives. Shall I play the qin for everyone? Chen Xing suddenly thought about it. He moved and came back with the qin, and after plucking it a few times, the melodious and mellow sound of the qin resounded. It was that song, the Fusheng records. Everyone sat, quietly listening, yet Xiang Shu got up and went inside the room. He came out a moment later with the Qiang flute in his hand as he went to stand behind Chen Xing. The music of the Qiang flute and the Guqin reverberated. The simple, clean sound of the qin and the ever-shifting sound of the Qiang flute blended and twined around each other. This Fusheng records was different from what they had played before. It was as if they were inside a turbulent river, experiencing winds and rains of the world and witnessing azure seas turning into mulberry fields. When the tune ended, everyone gently let out a sigh full of emotions. Well, Huan Yi started, it's time for these old men to go, too. Leave them some time to be alone, ba. The others got up one after another. Xian said, we'll gather at the back door in 2 Shishan. Xiang Shu nodded, and people dispersed. Xiang Shu nodded, and people dispersed. Chen Xing and Xiang Shu left behind sat side by side on the couches, courtyard full of colorful lanterns in front of them. They hadn't been able to have a good talk ever since Xiang Shu came back. Hey, Chen Xing smiled and asked, why do you keep getting lost in thought? What are you thinking about, Protector? This evening, can we not talk about exorcism? Xiang Shu said. I promise you, I will definitely bring them back. Chen Xing spoke, have you found Wang Zi's hiding place? Xiang Shu turned his head and looked at Chen Xing in a serious manner. Chen Xing understood and said, all right, I won't ask. However, my body is already feeling much better. Chen Xing continued. I think if we leave Xiaoyang tomorrow, there's no need to follow them south. It would be better. Xiang Shu deeply frowned. What did I say just now? Chen Xing hurriedly said, all right, all right. He didn't want to quarrel with Xiang Shu as soon as he got back. Seeing Xiang Shu today, no matter what he did to him, Chen Xing would absolutely not get angry. There was a moment of silence between the two. I really missed you, Chen Xing suddenly smiled and said. When I woke up and found out that you weren't by my side, I became so panicked. These 3 months, Xiang Shu voiced, I went to several places. I should have stayed behind and taken care of you, so at least you wouldn't have slept for so long that way, but after weighing the pros and cons, I still went. Chen Xing, was it to, forget it, never mind. Chen Xing had wanted to ask, was it to find Chu's hiding location? But he knew once he asked, Xiang Shu would undoubtedly want to talk about something else, so he had to restrain himself. I also went for a trip to Mount Hua, Xiang Shu said. I went to the place where you and your master once lived. Chen Xing was surprised. You actually know where that is? Xianxi told me the location, replied Xiang Shu. I took a look at the place where you grew up. Was your master sick and bedridden all year round? Chen Xing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yes. When I left Mount Hua, that place was a complete mess, and I didn't clean it up. Were you looking for some ancient texts passed down by exorcists? Xiang Shu thought out loud, growing up in that place while also having to take care of your master, it must have been very lonely ba. Chen Xing had wanted to laugh it off and said, it's okay, but after thinking it over, it had always been like that throughout his short life. Telling the truth once in a while also wouldn't hurt any? Yes, Chen Xing finally admitted. Very lonely. Xiang Shu spoke, when I saw Zhu Su today, I thought of the day you left Mount Hua and came to Xiangyang to find me. After saying that, Xiang Shu directly got up and walked up until he was under the lanterns. He then raised his head, looking at them with an inexplicable gaze reflecting in his eyes. Chen Xing, because he had met Zhu Su again, also remembered that day, and the corners of his mouth curled up in a gentle smile. You found me and brought me out of my cell, with his back facing Chen Xing, Xiang Shu faintly said. You really didn't want me to only act as your protector, right? From the beginning, you've regarded me as the person who would accompany you throughout your life, no matter how brief or how long it is. You finally understand, ah. Chen Xing smiled with a hint of sadness. That's the reason why I became very sad when you told me you didn't want to be my protector that day. But that was on me, I didn't take your feelings into account. Standing in the courtyard, Xiang Shu turned his head a little to carefully look at Chen Xing. The light of the lanterns shone on his face, and Chen Xing was looking at him in a daze. Under the light of the stars, Xiang Shu's side profile was incomparably handsome. He was way more beautiful than every single person Chen Xing had ever known. However, his usually furrowed eyebrows were long gone, and in their place was now a firm, tender emotion. Singer, all of a sudden, Xiang Shu spoke. The moment Xiang Shu spoke out the word Singer, Chen Xing's face reddened. You. Chen Xing was slightly at a loss, not knowing what to do. I won't let you die, Xiang Shu sincerely said. No. You won't die. What's this all of a sudden? Chen Xing was between laughter and tears. However, Xiang Shu just continued, because, in your heart, you actually don't want to die. Also, I returned this time because I wanted to tell you, that you don't only have yourself. Do you get it now? When Chen Xing heard these words, a warm feeling welled up in his heart. In this long, dark period of misery filled with all-encompassing darkness and the silence of all magic, it was like seeing a ray of light breaking through of the sky. They said that he was the lamp, but here, at this very moment, Chen Xing felt that Xiang Shu was that ray of light that illuminated him in this dark night full of despair. Yes, in the end, Chen Xing acknowledged it. If there is any hope, I do wish to keep on living. I do want to do a lot of things together with you. But if that future cannot be avoided, I only hope that my departure can make you, Xiao Shan, Feng Dage, Xie Shixing, and many others have a good life. Saying so, Chen Xing stepped forward and gently embraced Xiang Shu as he leaned his head on Xiang Shu's shoulder. Xiang Shu's breathing became labored all of a sudden, but not even a moment later, Chen Xing let him go. Chen Xing softly muttered, but, Shulukong, I've deceived you and everyone else. Xiang Shu. Chen Xing raised his head to look at him. I only have 1 year left to live. Xiang Shu didn't give any reply, he didn't even look the slightest bit surprised, and only looked at Chen Xing in silence. Because of Iupiter, Chen Xing continued, each time it descends to the world, it will only stay on Earth for 20 years. Although I've never personally confirmed it either, it has been recorded in all ancient texts. Shifu informed me that year when I just reached my 16th. I used to have faith in my luck, but following the drought fiend chaos, I feel more and more. Xiang Shu replied, you're finally willing to spill it out. Chen Xing was stunned and asked in a low voice, you knew already? How did you know? Pu Yang found out the truth for me, Xiang Shu answered. To confirm it, I specifically went to your teacher's house once to look for the records you left behind. If the records are true, you will not live past your birthday next year. From today onwards, this will be the last year of your life. Right, replied Chen Xing, feeling eased. It's not that I've never thought of fighting against my own destiny, and I also don't want to live like I don't own myself. But it's too difficult, and it's not that I'm afraid either. You see, at the Yi River, we still lost. It's not that I don't want to fight against it, it's just, I still have more important things to do. Compared to the lives of thousands upon thousands of people of the divine land, does my own life or death even matter, any? That's why, Xiang Shu. Chen Xing thought in his heart, I really like you very much, yet only softly said, I think the day my wish is fulfilled, will also be the day I meet my end, and after it's over, I'd have no way to promise you anything anymore. I can't promise you this life, and maybe not your next life, but Chen Xing smiled as he looked at Xiang Shu. After a long time has passed, all of this will gradually fade from memories. Just like how my parents' looks have long become blurred and unclear in my mind, you too will slowly forget what I look like. Xiang Shu looked at Chen Xing in silence. Chen Xing smiled. But, what I leave behind for you, will be this beautiful, fine world. If I can make it happen, that will surely be the only thing I can give you, ba? Am I right to say that you often think that I disregard your feelings for the sake of the divine land? That is not the case, since the reason why I wish for all magic to recover, for everything in this world to prosper and flourish, is all because this world has you. This is the world that has you, has Feng Dage, Xiao Shan, and also Xie Shixing. Because of this reason and this only, my departure is worth it. Xiang Shu's furrowed eyebrows finally relaxed, and he replied, I understand. In all earnestness, Chen Xing said, so, from tomorrow on, don't be afraid that I will die anymore, okay? Stay with me, and let's finish this journey, and I'll forever remember, in this world, there is someone who cares so much about me he would call in all of his friends and scatter away all of his family fortune, Chen Xing gently said, just so I can keep on living, and stay by my side. Xiang Shu's hand involuntarily clenched into a fist. He turned his head so he was no longer looking at Chen Xing. I will also remember, Xiang Shu spoke. Chen Xing raised his eyebrows as he looked at Xiang Shu's side profile. I will also remember, that in this world, there was once someone, Xiang Shu continued, who was willing to burn up all of his mortal and immortal souls just to become a blazing lamp that shines gloriously upon this world. After saying that, Xiang Shu's eyes were rimmed with red. He turned around like a gust of wind and brushed past Chen Xing. Xiang Shu, Chen Xing hurriedly called out. Xiang Shu. When he saw that Xiang Shu was crying, his steps froze, and he stood still in a daze. Singer, Xiang Shu, Chen Xing whispered. Xiang Shu, Singer. I truly like you very much, Chen Xing said, with only himself to hear. He was alone when he came into this world, and he also should leave in the same manner. Chen Xing had too many words he wanted to say, but he knew that once he said those ones, it would be just like that day by the shore of Hong Lake, there would be a man who would, regardless of everything, take him away from this mundane world full of responsibility, take him. Chen Xing pushed open the door and all of a sudden, he halted. On the pillow on top of the couch, he saw a piece of moonshell bracelet. During the Autumn Deity Festival a year ago, they had bought such a pair at a fair in Jiankong. After the event, Chen Xing himself had already forgotten about this since he had been running around here and there multiple times and also fallen into a coma several times in a row after that. Chen Xing didn't even know where his own pair had been thrown a long time ago. Yet the one Xiang Shu had bought had still been kept all along. The red of the string had already faded, and the moon shell had gradually lost its luster over the year. Chen Xing picked up the bracelet and was silent for a long while. Then, he turned around and walked out at a brisk pace. The military officials had finished preparing the carriages, and Xian was currently doing one final inspection. Chen Xing rushed to the courtyard and said, Where's Xiang Shu? Xie Shixing, where is his room located? Xian just blankly said, Doesn't he share a room with you? There's no other room arranged for him. 3 months ago, after Xiang Shu took Chen Xing to Xiaoyang, he had stayed by his side for several days, and by that, it meant residing in Chen Xing's room. When he returned earlier that night, they had been preparing to retreat soon, and so, there was no one who could arrange accommodations for him. Chen Xing said, Then, where are his things? What about the stuff he has with him? Xiang Shu had already left. Chen Xing immediately said, Prepare a horse. Wait. Xian said. Little Shidi, you need to follow us now, that's the only way to get out of the city. I will send a scout at once to look for the martial god. Chen Xing answered, No need to worry about me. No. Xian shouted. The martial god specifically ordered. Chen Xing ran out and was just about to mount his horse when Xian suddenly rushed in. Go. Prepare to leave the city, Fujian's army is here. Xian cursed at once. That fucker Zhu Su, he scammed us. That liar. When Zhu Su persuaded them to surrender, he did say that they will besiege the city tomorrow. But just as the second night period was over, Fu Rong started to attack the city with his army of 200,000 soldiers. Nothing is ever too deceitful during a war, everything is just and fair, Xie Xian said. Everyone, let's move. Chendaran, I saw your family's protector. He just left the city and headed north, and he wants you to come with us back to Jiankong first. He said he would be back and find you as soon as his business is done. Chen Xing replied, No. He just got back, so where is he going again? That bastard. That stupid bastard ah! I have a lot of things I want to tell him. Xian saw that Chen Xing was about to cry. You can't go in any other direction either. Right now. Only the southern road is safe. Chen Xing said, I have eye up at her. I'll be safe anywhere I go. The Qin troops have arrived. Someone shouted. Attack! Another soldier's shout came from a faraway place. Dong dong, the bell resounded over and over from the hill up in Xiaoyang, making the whole city tense at once. Pots full of flammable oil streaked across the horizon. They flew over the curtain of night. The city began to burn. Xian was struck by a sudden inspiration. Don't let Chendaran go. Everyone's life depends on him. Chen Xing. Wang Zizi also remembered. Yes. He's eye up at her. Chen Xing. Xian said, Dayun. Where's Dayun? Xie Dayun rushed over on a carriage and shouted, Let's go. Everyone get in the carriage. And so, everyone trapped and heaved Chen Xing in, hopping into the carriage one after another as they rushed out of Xiaoyang with all their might. In an instant, that scene at the night of the fall of Xiangyang city seemed to repeat itself. Chen Xing was put in place in the center of the carriage, a group of civil officials all around him, with each of them holding a part of Chen Xing's clothes. With Xie Dayun driving the carriage and Huan Yi's people escorting them, they left Xiaoyang. The people had almost finished retreating, so when Fu Rong marched to Xiaoyang, he was met with almost no resistance. No lamps nor fires were lit, and it was his side that had to suffer many losses from Xie Xian's laid-out strategy instead. After the group left the city, there was a sudden explosion coming from a distant place. The whole Xiaoyang's governor residence was set ablaze by a raging fire. Most likely, after luring the enemy troops to go inside the city, they set them on fire so that the troops would burn to death. They weren't sure whether it was because of Chen Xing's presence or because of Xie Dayun's exceptional skill at driving, but either way, tonight's escape road was very smooth, completely beyond expectations. The carriage neither crossed nor got stuck in a ditch, let alone encounter an ambush from the Qin troops. Just a short time later and they had run nearly 10 li away from the city. The autumn rain had just stopped, covering the sides of the road with mud. After the Xiaoyang's defenders had withdrawn and they reached a safe area, the officials got out of the carriage one by one, and, with white clothes all over their bodies, they knelt in the mud, doing 3 bows to pay respect in Xiaoyang's direction. Who are you paying respect to? Chen Xing was puzzled. The 3 officials who set the fire and took the Qin troops down with them, replied Xie Dayun. Chen Xing and Xie Dayun also went down the carriage to pay their respects. Huan Yi and Xie Xian said, All right, everyone, this is where we part. We already had a drink last night during Chen Xianchen's banquet, so no need to say goodbyes again. On one side, Xian, Wang Zizi, as well as a group of civil officials sitting in the carriage, while on the other side, Huan Yi and Xie Xian, paid respects to each other. Xian said, Leave the court to us. Xian and the others still had an important task, they must return to Jiankong to protect the emperor, then mobilize the whole nation to face the next great war that will most likely reach the capital city Jiankong. Chen Xing sat on the edge of the carriage, and right when he saw the soldiers leaving one after another, he jumped out of the carriage. Chen Xing. Tianqi. Chen Xing hopped on the horse and sat behind Huan Yi, saying, Let's go. Then, he turned around, the heart lamp in his hand flashing bright. Huan Yi nodded, he urged his horse, and together with Chen Xing, they headed towards Lujian. At this time, the Baifu army, the Xiaoyang army, and the temporary conscripted civilian troops were all rushing to the Fei River from all four directions. With Fujian's millions of troops coming to the south, at the north bank of the Fei River, the greatest war of its time, the war with the most number of participants since the beginning of history, was about to begin. During these past few months, while the south had 10,000 li of rivers and mountains, on this land of all Han people, the farmers had all stopped farming, laborers had stopped working, merchants had closed their shops, craftsmen had shut down production, scholars had abandoned their books, and martial artists had left the Jianghu. Every single person who had something to spare, those whose body was capable of picking up a sword would rush to Kaihu region, while others would use up all their wealth to provide assistance to the front lines. It was because this war wasn't just two countries vying for supremacy over another. If Jiankong was captured, the Han people were basically finished. The bloodstain from the event of the disaster of Yongjia was still vivid in everybody's mind. This matter was a matter of life and death. As soon as Jiankong fell, the Hans would truly face total destruction and complete annihilation. End chapter.